Burnout. You hear that word all the time, right? At work, on the news, maybe you've even said it yourself. And yeah, we all kind of think we know what it means, but it gets thrown around so much that the real, serious meaning can get, well, a little fuzzy. So in this explainer, we're going to cut through all that noise. We're going to get to the official story of what burnout really is, where it comes from, and most importantly, what on earth we can actually do about it.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll nail down the official definition so we're all on the same page. Then, we'll untangle it from depression. This is a super common mix-up, and it's a really important one to get right. After that, we'll look at how burnout slowly creeps up on you and what it costs us. Then, we'll get to the good stuff, a powerful game plan for recovery. And we'll wrap up with a fascinating mental tool that can act like a shield against the worst of it.
Let's just start with this question. Does this hit home for you? This feeling that every single day is just a bad day? That sense that caring about anything, especially your work, feels like a complete and total waste of what little energy you have left? If that sounds even a little bit familiar, you're in the right place. Because that feeling right there, that's a huge red flag for burnout.
So let's get specific. If we really want to understand this thing, we've got to move past just using it as a buzzword for being tired. We need to get to the clear, internationally recognized definition. What are we actually talking about when we say burnout?
And here it is, straight from the top, the World Health Organization. They define burnout as a syndrome that happens because of chronic workplace stress that hasn't been handled well. But here's the part you really need to hear. The WHO is super clear. Burnout is an occupational phenomenon. It is not a medical condition. That's a huge distinction. It means the term is meant to be used only for your experiences at work, not for stress in other parts of your life.
And that brings us to a really critical point. Because burnout makes you feel exhausted and down, it gets mistaken for depression all the time. But they are not the same thing. And getting them confused can mean you don't get the right kind of help. So let's break down the difference nice and clear.
You can see the core difference right here. Burnout, as the WHO defines it, is linked directly to your job. Those negative feelings, the exhaustion, the cynicism, it's all laser-focused on your work. Depression, on the other hand, is a diagnosed medical condition. Its causes are way more complex. And those negative feelings, they're pervasive. They can cast a shadow over every single part of your life, not just the 9 to 5.
I absolutely love this metaphor because it just nails the feeling, doesn't it? Stress is about having too much. Too many demands, too much pressure. It feels like you're literally drowning in things you have to do. But burnout? Burnout is a state of not enough. You're just empty. You've got no motivation, no energy, no more care to give. You're not drowning anymore. You feel like the well has just run completely dry.
So how does a person get to that all dried up state? Well, burnout isn't like flipping a switch. It doesn't just happen overnight. It's a slow burn, a gradual creep. So let's map out the actual stages people tend to go through on that path.
You know, it's funny. It often starts in a really good place, the honeymoon phase. You're all in, you're energized, you're excited. But then the stress onset begins. You start to feel some anxiety, and you start putting your own needs on the back burner. If that keeps going, you slide into chronic stress. That's when the cynicism really starts to set in, and you're just tired all the time. From there, it's a shortfall into full-blown burnout, deep pessimism, pulling away from people. And finally, you can hit habitual burnout, where that exhaustion is so deep it feels like it's just a part of who you are now.
So what's pushing us through these stages? Well, it's a mix of things. On the work side, it's stuff like feeling you have no control, not getting recognized for your efforts, or having totally unclear expectations. But our lifestyle is a huge piece of the puzzle too. Working nonstop with no time to relax and recharge, not having a solid support system, and consistently not getting enough sleep, it's like pouring gasoline on a fire.
And then you've got the internal stuff, our own personalities. Things like being a perfectionist where nothing is ever good enough, or having that need to control everything and never delegate, or just being a classic high-achieving type A person. These traits can make us way more vulnerable. So you see, burnout is often this perfect storm between a stressful situation and our own tendencies.
And the impact of all this is, well, it's serious. It doesn't just stop with the person feeling it. Burnout creates this massive ripple effect that touches their health, their family, and yeah, the company they work for. For you personally, the signs are pretty clear. Physically, it can show up as being tired all the time, getting sick way more often, or having constant headaches and muscle pain. And emotionally, it's a brutal mix of self-doubt, feeling trapped and defeated, a total loss of motivation, and just this really cynical, negative view of everything. It's awful.
And those ripples just keep spreading. For the individual, it can lead to some really serious health issues like insomnia or even substance abuse, and pulling away from the people who love you. And for the organization, the costs are huge. It looks like absenteeism, people showing up late, leaving early, calling in sick. It creates friction between coworkers. And even if people are still getting work done, you can bet the quality of that work is taking a nosedive.
Okay, that was a lot, and it's heavy stuff. I get it. But here's the good news. Burnout is not a life sentence. It is something you can address. So now we're going to pivot hard into the solutions. Let's talk about a real, actionable framework you can use to recover and build up your defenses.
Helpguide.org lays out this simple but really powerful 3R approach. First, recognize. You've got to see the warning signs we just talked about. Second, reverse. Take real steps to undo the damage. And third, resilience. This is where you build up your long-term defenses so it doesn't happen again. Let's dig into those last two a bit more.
So, how do you actually reverse the damage? The single biggest tool you have is other people. Seriously, social contact is nature's antidote to stress. Reaching out to family, friends, or even just making an effort to be a little more social with coworkers can be a huge help. It's also about shifting your perspective, trying to find some value in your job, or if you can't, finding that meaning somewhere else in your life. And sometimes the simplest answer is the best one. Take a real break. Disconnect, recharge.
Now, building resilience. That's the long game. This is about creating habits that stick. It means learning to set boundaries and getting comfortable with the power of the word no. It means taking a break from your phone and your laptop every single day. It means making exercise a priority, not an option. And it means feeding your body and your brain with good food. These aren't just quick fixes. They're the foundation for a stronger you.
All right, on to our final section. Beyond all the practical stuff, there's a really powerful psychological mindset that can act as your most important defense against the worst parts of burnout. Let's talk about the self-compassion shield.
So what even is self-compassion? Basically, it's about treating yourself with the same kindness you'd give to a friend who's having a hard time. It's accepting that, hey, we all mess up sometimes and life gets hard, and that's just part of being human. It's about meeting those tough moments with care instead of beating yourself up.
So why are we talking about this? Well, a 2020 study gave us a pretty incredible answer. Researchers found that self-compassion acts like a buffer. It can actually help prevent the exhaustion and cynicism of burnout from spiraling down into full-blown clinical depression.
And this is the key takeaway. The study found that people with high levels of self-compassion could still get burned out. It didn't make them immune to feeling exhausted. But, and this is a huge but, it acted like a firewall. For them, burnout didn't lead to depression. It stopped that dangerous progression right in its tracks.
Which leaves us with this final, really powerful thought. We've talked about changing our jobs, our schedules, our habits. But what if the most important strategy of all is about changing the conversation we have with ourselves? When stress feels like it's just too much, maybe the most resilient thing we can do is just be a little kinder to ourselves.